Your revolution has begun. Save your soul.
Alright, hey Pat, welcome to another game of 30K. We got 2,500 points each for you, and we're pretty super excited about this game for a couple of reasons. So it's going to be Word Bearers versus my Death Guard, and first off, it's the debut of the Word Bearers, so to speak. So Pat's going to be trying them on for the first time.
Dropping some word.
Yep, spreading the word, trying to figure out their little niches and how he can position this army to best effect. And then the other reason is because the mission we chose has kind of a throwback deployment in that if you remember 3rd edition, you deploy heavy and then the other person deploys a heavy, and then when you're done with heavies, you start on your troops and then lead some fast attacks or HQs them fast. And that's what the deployment was for this mission. So I mean, we haven't done that in a long time, but that was really fun to kind of execute our deployments here. And then we're gonna go ahead and give you the mission intro. I mean the army intros in a second, but for the mission intro, and then correct me if I forget anything, but basically what it comes down to is there's a objective in each of our deployment zones. At the end of the game, if you control the opponent's objective, then you get 5 victory points for that. You don't score anything for your own objective in your deployment zone, but you do have to defend it, obviously. And then
Kill points.
so it's kill points on the first turn only.
Right. Yeah.
So
kill
if
points
you
on the first
fully
turn.
destroy a unit on the first turn, which doesn't happen a lot, you know, it kind of happens like with rhinos and stuff like that, but probably not going to be too many points in play there unless some of my squads fail a morale check and run off on the first turn. Pat has morale mitigation for that, being Word Bearers. He gets to roll 3d6 and take the 2 lowest. And then, but that's just on the first turn, you get a kill point. And then we're playing Warlord and Attrition. So at the end of the battle, who's ever got the Warlord, and then whoever did killed the most enemy units will get only 1 point for that. So the majority of the points will come from that 5 if you control your opponent's objective. But if neither player does that, then it will come down to who killed the most on the first turn, who killed the most overall for another point, and then Warlord for 1 point on top of that. So we're going to go ahead and cut into army intros and see what we brought. Alright, so for some army intros here, we're both deployed. We're going to take you through 2,500 points of Word Bearers.
Alright, we have Margal number 1, number 2, number 3, my elite choices, as well as Contemptor, with his, as shown, cannon and claw. Tactical squad 1, another one here. Support squad with the Cavaliers, and then my HQs are 2 Centurions with Burning Lore. You can see them here through the ruins. That's the character model, but I'm just using them as modeled. And then I brought Lord of War Logar transformed. I'll give you a peek.
Yeah, where's he at?
Oops.
Oh, look at you. Beautiful. Nasty guy.
And that rounds out my army. Oh, I forgot Zardu and Blade Buddies. I'm having a proxy because I can't find my model this morning.
So he might become possessed by the actual model later on in the game. And then surely there will be some demons brought onto the table and some summoning actions. So you might see some additions to this army in just a few minutes. and it's a really nice looking 2,500 points of word bearers. And then on the Death Guard side, I got a tight little formation set up here. I got a 20-man tack squad in the front. I am trying something a little different. I put an apothecary with him this game. Seems like a good choice. Not sure why I never did that before. The guy with the die on his base is actually, that's to represent, he's got the Legion Vexilla. And I've got Praetor Iskander Kar, just a fictional character I made up, and he's a 40k model right now. I put him there. He's got the Artificer armor, which is why I used that model instead of Typhus model, and a Paragon blade, a Master Crafted with digital lasers, melta bombs, rad grenades, and Artificer armor.
And a partridge and a pear tree.
And a partridge and a pear tree. I can't believe I remembered all that stuff. And then the sergeant there with the tack squad also has just a power scythe and Artificer armor, I believe, maybe. And then 3 Vindicators, see there? Trying to kind of screen them with the tack squad. And then got 10 Assault Marines behind them. I got a Land Raider Phobos with 5 Grave Wardens inside, and 2 of which have a Chain Fist. I've got the Levi the Leviathan. He finally got named since he didn't die first turn the other day. And then Death Shroud, 5 Death Shroud and a Land Raider Phobos on that side, and 10 Heavy Bolter Marines there. And that's 2,500 points of Death Guard. So, is there seize the initiative in this battle?
There is.
There is. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that on camera real quick. And barring a seize, we did our deployments where Pat set up the first unit and then took turns, and unless I seize, Pat's gonna get turn 1. Oh god, I just killed somebody's bolter. First casualty has been struck. Alright, we'll be back after some super glue and turn 1. Okay, welcome back to the bottom of game turn 1. In case for those of you who are concerned, the bolter brother over here, he got his arm glued back on, so he's good. Moving on. Both these armies, they're just kind of feeling each other out. You can see from the landscape here that neither army really moved up. Everything kind of moved up on this side. The left flank, Death Guard just tried to get some stuff in range because they're a short to medium range army. And over here, the word bearers are testing the waters, moving up the Margals to kind of put the Death Guard in check, and that really helps to keep Death Guard out of their short to medium range. Levi chose a tactical withdrawal. He needs to get in 18-inch threat range to shoot his Phosphex and his Grav cannon, or Grav bombard. So he actually had to fall back and he didn't get to shoot anything. And this Land Raider fell back a few inches to, it's got Death Shroud in it, and they don't really want anything to do with all those dreadnoughts. And then for Psychic Phase, the Word Bearers, they didn't summon, didn't get Cursed Earth, but you got, what was that other spell?
I didn't get anything.
Oh, you didn't get anything off that turn. And then for shooting, let's see, they were able to plink off one of these Marines, and that actually forced a morale check because of the howling razor nastiness from the Margal's plasma cannon. And if they would have failed that, they probably would have been taken off the board altogether, because if you remember, there wasn't even any space for them to fall back and you wouldn't have been able to place the models. So howling death. But they passed that morale check, or else, like Pat and I were discussing, we probably would have just had to call game 1 if they and the Praetor had all fallen back off the board, and we'd probably just start up another game from the same point. But so we're kind of testing the waters here. I'm going to try to keep these videos a little bit shorter, and so we'll just get you a recap back at the bottom of game turn 2. Alright, welcome back everybody. We're here at the bottom of game turn 2. Pat has been really accommodating this game. I've been taking these really long movement phases and trying to figure out where to dedicate my forces. So thanks to you, Pat, for that.
Sure.
And
Pleasure.
then now that we're kind of at a decision point here, or a crucial dice roll rather, the Death Shroud have basically, they're going to kind of sacrifice themselves to try to get this charge off on this tack squad because they're a scoring squad. And if you remember, these objectives in your deployment zone are worth 5 points at the end. Pat's scoring squads are that and the other tack squad. So if they can get a lot of damage done to that tack squad, it'll be worth it. And I'm going to need a 6-inch charge after getting out of my Land Raider through difficult terrain, needing a 6. And not getting it. And
Let me roll that one. Oh, 6 total. Yeah, go ahead.
It was pretty. It was not
Yeah.
cocked. We're gonna
Well, leave that one die and roll the other.
roll the other. See what would happen.
Boom.
That die right there was pretty.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Pretty
So
flat. So I don't think it was cocked. See how nice we are to
what?
each other.
4, 5, 6 it.
All right,
Get it
4,
off on
5,
a 4,
or 6.
5, 6.
I got it.
Row.
All right, so they're gonna get in there, and on the other side of the board, these Grave Wardens, they needed a 7-inch charge when we measured. We measured before we ever moved the Land Raider just to see what would need, and they made it as well. Death Guard do not get the penalty for -2 in cover since they have moved through cover on the whole army. So that went really well for the Death Guard as far as making the charges, and we'll bring you back a recap and see how it actually turns out.
Giddy up.
All right, bringing you the recap at the bottom of turn 2 as the camera just has a mind of its own and just slews over there. Okay, so the tactical decisions I was describing to you earlier, the Death Guard chose to kind of sacrifice some Death Shroud, make it in over there, and went really well in combat. All the tack squads. What happens a lot in 30K, and definitely happens to me because I bring these blobs, is that your Praetor and your good, bad boys of the blob are sitting in the back so they don't get shot. And then when you get charged, they don't end up in combat range. So the guys that had the spiky bits over here didn't even get to attack, and I killed 6 Marines, and then they failed their leadership, so the whole squad gets swept and took a scoring unit with it. So that's good for Death Guard. And then over here, a stalemate where the Grave Wardens made their combat with the Margal. The Chain Fists whiffed, and the Margal, he didn't do any wounds either, so we're just stuck in over here.
3 ones.
That was a really long, I'm gonna look at the timestamp on these, between these 2 videos, because I took like an hour for that one turn just to decide what I wanted to do. So thanks again for that, Pat, and then for your tactical input on decision making, because I'm telling you, the movement phase, I took like forever to do this movement phase. All right, so going into the top of turn 3, and we'll see what summoning or what the word bearers can get to respond in the top of 3. All right, as we survey the carnage at the end of game turn 3, I'm going to take you through a little recap. So in the top of 3, the Contemptor shot and then ran in on the Death Shroud that were there and wiped them. The Volkites also were able to get a wound on them as well. And then the Contemptor got a few wounds. I think he might have done all 4 of his wounds on them, and then they ran and they got swept. The Margal on this side, none of them have been making their It Will Not Dies, but he did run in, tried to smack that Land Raider, didn't work. Land Raider backed up and shot him. Doesn't look like he did anything in return.
I think I made both my saves.
Yeah, he made his demon saves, and then same with the Levi the Leviathan here. Tried to do the Grav Flux Bombard on his left arm, just isn't good against vehicles, so that didn't work either. Actually, we still have to fight this. We forgot this guy, so we'll fight that out here in a second. But that Bone Crusher is doing a really good job of tying up those heavy bolters. They're probably not going to get out without help. Could have run Levi in there to help, but then he would have definitely been in charge range of the Margal, which I'm kind of trying to just delay, and just protect the Chrysalis, as it were. The Vindicators backed up, took some shots. I think they did 5 wounds on the tack squad that was there, and they made like 4 out of 5 saves. The Fury of the Legion, though, did really well. I don't know if it rolled well or it's just weight of dice, but they took out a bunch of tack Marines, which caused the Assault Marines, which you don't see anymore. They were run up right here, and they were going to assault the
attack squad, but they probably wouldn't have made their charge range anymore after the Fury of the Legion, so they went towards the Demonettes. Well, you don't see them anymore, so it was kind of an even battle, but the Demonettes strike first. Probably should not have assaulted them with the assault marines, but
I rolled some good rending too.
yeah, he rolled a lot of rends.
It was like 4 rends.
It was like 7 wounds with 4 of them being rends, so that was just 4 dead guys, and then 1 failed to save. So it was 5 off the top that didn't get to attack, and then the other guys, they swung for what they could, killed 2 Demonettes, lost by 3, and then of course got swept to the Demonettes' good initiative. I only rolled 2. So Land Raider over here backed up. I think he got a wound on that Margal maybe.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to have any firepower to direct at that dog either. And then the Grave Wardens dispatched the other Margal on the right flank, on Pat's right flank in combat. So looking at kind of the strategic layout here, so these Demonettes are scoring, this Tac Marine is scoring, and that's all Pat has that can score unless he summons more troops. What I've got is the Heavy Bolters, they're scoring, but they're not going to make it over there. I got a tack squad here, they're not going to make it either, and the assault squad's dead. So I'm not going to make it to his objective. So I'm not going to get my 5 points. The only points in play for me is if I can kill Lorgar and get Warlord, or if I can win the 1 point for attrition. Without doing the math, I think I'm ahead on the attrition point right now. Partially because there's a couple units out here with just 1 model left. I'll probably get a point for if I can take them out. But if Pat gets on this Chrysalis, it's 5 points at the end of the game, and that'll be, that's what we're fighting for right now. So we'll bring you back a recap at the end of turn 4. All right, here we are with the end of game turn 4. In the top of turn 4, Word Bearers, Lorgar advanced. There was a Corn Hound who advanced, and there was a Blood Crusher there. In addition, the Margal over here turned this Land Raider into a smoldering crater, and the Blood Crusher lost in combat. He had only 1 wound left. The Corn Dog, he got killed by the ensuing Overwatch because the Blood Crusher was actually at the end of turn 3. And then Lorgar had a really long charge. He needed a 10, and he didn't make that. And then the Vindicators shot 3 rounds at Lorgar's head. They only hit him once, and he made saves. The Land Raider over here tried to pick off Lorgar. He made, I think he took 1 wound from something.
He did.
And then the Grave Wardens they can't run. These colors don't run. But they moved through cover 4 inches, trying to get into range to do something. And the Leviathan, Levi over here, ran in, and they each did a hull point to each other on a glance. And so then the Margal, you see, succumbed to a Melt-A-Bomb. So we're stuck in with this Demonette. So again, it looks like the Demonette will not probably last another round, but she's scoring right now. That Tac Marine is also scoring, and the big question is, can Lorgar get something brought in to score? Heading into turn 5, and it's a straight 6 turns. All right, bringing you the recap. Bottom of game turn 5. The Primarch, Lorgar, moved up. Couldn't get a charge off on these heavy bolter guys, but the Contemptor came in and finished the job. These guys are playing a slap fight over here, except that at the bottom of turn 5, this it kind of went in the Margal's favor. The Leviathan only has 1 hull point left. The Vindicators did a jack move over here. It took us a while to figure the rules out, but one of them moved up, at least combat speed, tank shocked, so that the Plague Bearers had to get away from the Chrysalis. The other 2 just went 6 inches, and they're allowed to fire, so they fired at Lorgar. Didn't do anything. He tanked 2 of the wounds off of that, I think. And then Land Raider fired at Lorgar, took out his comrade Tac Marine there, so they don't count as scoring anymore. Grave Wardens trying to get into the fight, but they're still outside their threat range. And the Tac squad with the Praetor came in and took out 5 Plague Bearers. That's a really significant squad right there, since they're scoring. And at the end of the game, if Pat has anything that scores within 3 inches of this Chrysalis, then that's going to be game. He'll win on that. So this gentleman right here has a big job to do.
Let's see if he can bring in some troops.
All right, we'll bring you that action at the end of turn 6, which will be the last turn. All right, we're bringing you the conclusion of the game here.
Instability. Are they happy or not?
Oh, if that would have been boxcars, they would have run. So that's their demonic instability. They stay. Now, Pat, would you take this blue stick here and kindly tell if
Yeah,
that's 3 inches
we
from
haven't measured
the
this
chrysalis?
Oh, with change.
Easily 3 inches from the objective
So
at the end of turn
Logo
6.
delivers the goods.
So I'll give you a quick recap, but as you just saw, Pat got within 3 inches. Lorgar summoned some demonettes right onto the point. They scattered, then they ran back. D6 plus 3 inches for Slanesh. It wasn't because of the Contemptor running in and blowing up a Vindicator, or Lorgar actually did that. Contemptor consolidated, kind of blocked my tank shock from getting, because I would have had to cut an angle that goes no closer than an inch from him, which would have seen me park, there. The Demonettes could have moved over and still all been on it, so I just chose to fire 2 Vindicator blasts at him. Between that and the Land Raider over here opening up, we were able to kill all but 2 Demonettes, but they have passed their demonic possession, or
Demonic instability.
instability, and they're easily within 3 inches of the chrysalis. Has now fallen to the word bearers. We just did the mission from book 5, mission number 2 of Calth, Onslaught, and so a fluffy game it was, since these word bearers, traitorous dogs that they are. Traitors are always near and dear to my heart.
Captured chrysalis.
And in this game, they captured the objective, the mighty chrysalis, at the end of the game, and these Death Guard were vanquished. Iskander Kar, Praetor Iskander Kar,
When they got done playing patty cake.
moribund at this defeat. And and then Levi, poor Levi. Oh, Levi. All right, well, I guess we're gonna clean this one up, but if y'all like that game, click on like, subscribe. Always appreciate it, and hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time.